Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at onpurposely.com.
When they were interested in like activities and stuff, did you let them
encourage them?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay, now I got discouraged sometimes. You discourage me sometimes.
I did.
Say it, Mom.
Well, I did. Because she wanted to do too much. I think she played every instrument in the band. Now stop. Pick one.
Snacks and good company.
Greetings, friends, and welcome to Snacks and Good Company, brought to you by Redemption Press. I am Sherry Lynn, and my co-host is Jackie Nickel.
Hi, friends.
How do you feel about this being our last episode?
I don't know.
It doesn't feel like it, to be honest with you guys, because we're pre-recording.
Yeah.
So I think once we're listening to them in real time with you all, we'll feel like, oh, man. But you can feel that, like when we started this, and all you really wanted was just wisdom for the mom journey. And we're now at the end of this process, which took about, what, a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, I think it's a year and a half. Actually, the idea, I was just telling you this the other day. It happened exactly 2 years ago, I think within the last week.
Okay.
That this whole idea even transpired.
Yeah, I guess so. In February.
And then we didn't start until like September, October that year.
That is right, because you were interviewing your aunt and your uncle.
Yep.
And I flew to Baltimore to meet you there.
Yep.
That's right. So this has been a long process, and we're here at the end of this series. Snacks and Good Company is a limited podcast series. So we take on a topic for about 5 or 6 episodes. We disappear, we come back with another topic in 5 or 6 more episodes. So this is the final episode of Mom to Mom, older moms giving wisdom to younger moms. And in this one, I thought this was so interesting because, again, this was a question that I would never think of, but that you thought of, which is, how do I encourage my kids in their gifts? Like, how did that even come to your mind if that was something that you felt like you needed to do and needed to know how to do it well?
I'm not even sure because, I mean, when I first thought of it, when I was thinking of all the questions I would have for somebody I was interviewing, I think mainly for Tammy because, you know, she had so many children that end up doing something successful or something that, you know, maybe that they've always wanted to do. But if I see, I think of like the interests and the talents that my kids have now. And like, I don't want to like push them to do something and they get burnt out or something. But I just want to learn how to like in a way that they can grow and develop in that on their own, you know?
Yes. In that vein, during our Young Moms Roundtable discussion with Snacks, I don't know if you remember this or not, but Kara was talking about how her daughter, she's 13 years old and she can really, really sing. And to your point, it's like you don't want to push.
Right.
But when the kid is like, I don't feel like it. And you're like, but you're so good at this. How do you, Kara kind of goes into her struggle with that.
So my daughter is, she's gifted to sing. I am too. Right now she's going through I don't want to sing. And it's like, but no, you have to do this because this is what you're graced to do. You don't even realize that. Like, I'm here to cultivate that in you and to teach you what you need to know. And it breaks my heart because it's like, girl, you don't even know. And it's not like, she's anointed to sing. Like, she can sing. At 13 years old, she can sing. And she doesn't get it. She doesn't realize it.
All right, so that's Kara talking about how difficult it is knowing that your kid is really, really talented in something and they don't want to do it. And you don't want to push them because then they'll hate it, right? But you're also like, you're good at this and this is what I feel you should be doing. Yeah. I think your Aunt Nikki had a really, really good take on that.
I think I pushed my kids too much in some ways. I have a child who's really good at singing, and I think I annoyed them so much that they were just like, I roll, right? So you want to encourage, but at the same time, you just have to step back and say, whenever they're ready, they're going to do it. You know, God created us. He gave us gifts. And, you know, the more we get to know God, the more we grow with God, the more we become who he's made us to be, and it is in using those gifts, right?
So much wisdom your Aunt Nikki has.
Right?
All the moms.
Yeah, true. All the moms.
I just want to say that, like, I'm sure we'll do it in a wrap up of the episode and then of the series itself, but just all the moms, just so much wisdom. My prayer is that people heard this and it's like, wow, that's a lot of wisdom, that they passed it on to other people. Hey, you should listen to this podcast because there's a lot of wisdom and a lot of truth and a lot of honesty. And then that you would listen to it again. That's my prayer. Like, let me go back to that and remember what they said about that. Yeah. I hope that's what happens. Anyway, speaking of wisdom, we're just going to kind of go through here. My mom's going to talk about how she encouraged and discouraged our gifts. And Tammy Hamilton is going to talk about, we're going to go to her and then my mom. Tammy's going to talk about identifying those gifts, identifying those personalities, and then encouraging them in that way. And then you'll hear my mom right after Tammy.
So with the difference of personalities and interests and stuff like that, how did you find yourself encouraging them in their interests?
Okay. Well, homeschooling is great for that, again, because you have more time to be flexible. I think you can do it anyway. All parents can do it. But for us, I think it gave us a lot of time when they would have an interest. You know, I believe in letting kids dabble in things. Now, if they make a commitment to a team sport of some kind, they need to see it to the end of the season or whatever. But if your child wants to dance when they're 5, they don't have to dance till they're 12 if they don't want to, or do gymnastics, you know. I mean, some kids, they put these cute little kids in gymnastics and then they grow to be 5 feet 10.
That's my daughter. She loves gymnastics. She loves dance. And now she wants to do cheerleading. And I was like, all of those combined. And you are way girlier than me, and I have no idea how
So,
I'm going to.
we let them dabble, but we would never let those things take over our lives. Our boys are accomplished athletes. And so once you put them in the sports, they see that they're talented, it'll start to take over their lives. We made a decision not to let that happen. So we would let them play on a recreational level, but when they wanted to put them on the travel teams that played on Sundays, well, no, we go to church on Sundays. Some things just have to be, decided ahead of time. But our daughter Naomi that I was mentioning, we knew she wanted to be a nurse. So when she was in high school, probably 15, maybe 14 or 15, she started volunteering as a teenage volunteer at the hospital, working in the labor and delivery part of the hospital. And by the time she graduated from nursing school, because she did it all the way through nursing school, she had nearly 1,000 volunteer hours at the hospital. So she was able to really know that was what she wanted to do because she could be in that field. Our son, Paul, always wanted to build things. He was a very out-of-the-box little guy, and he was always drawing log cabins and building with the Legos. He was very hands-on. And so we knew he wanted to build things. We didn't know what God was going to do with that. But when he was a young teenager, he started to informally apprentice with friends of ours who were contractors and, had a workshop, and he would go build things in the workshop. And they would invite him over, and he'd have fun doing that. And now 15 I was trying to think today, 15 or 18 years later, he's 30. He works for that same family as a project manager and marketing director. He went to college, got his degree, and went right back to building things because that's what he always wanted to do. So, you just kind of look for what they want to do. I would caution against, and I think people are learning this, about getting over involved and doing too many things. We would sometimes say, there were seasons when there were 7 of them who were all in that age. Pick one thing.
Yeah.
This year, pick one thing. We're going to do that one thing this year. And then the next year you can pick something different, or you can keep doing that, to the extent that it fits into our family life. Always coming back to our family is not going to revolve around football or dance. Our family revolves around Jesus.
How did you encourage their interest in things?
Well, I just did. I wanted to be supportive of them. And then when I felt like, no, you're not doing that. Because there has to be boundaries. You just have to set boundaries. This one had none.
She's talking about me, y'all. When she said this one, she pointed over here to me. Yeah.
You have to set boundaries, but then, you just have to and then you have to let them make their own mistakes too. You're there watching and make sure they don't go too far. But if you don't, if you're there at every turn, then they're going to depend on mommy and not on the Lord.
Yeah. And they'll probably grow up feeling like they can't go out on their own.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or they don't feel confident enough to try things without.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as a single mom and having these two kids with two very different personalities, when they were interested in like activities and stuff, did you let them
encourage them?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay, now I got discouraged sometimes. You discourage me sometimes.
I did.
Say it, Mom.
Well, I did. Because she wanted to do too much. I think she played every instrument in the band. Now stop. Pick one. But one didn't. He wasn't like her in as much as he loved football. He loved being with his friends and things like that. But he didn't have this whole array of things that he wanted to do.
I would just pick these things up, but then I'm creative, right? So I could the band teacher, the music teacher could see that I could do it. So then they'd give me instruments. And so I'd come traipsing home with another instrument, and she'd be like,
I wish everyone could see Miss Bev's face right now.
Oh my God. And then I would be like, she'd be like, "No, what is that?" It's a bassoon, Mom. I'm gonna try to play this real quick.
I'm gonna give this a try.
And Nana was always for it. All right, well, let's try and see. What's this note? Because she can read music. Okay. So she'd be like, "What's this note?" Well, let's get. She was always there for trying to get it through, but my mom would just shake her head like, "Here's another thing." So the phrase that I said on the other podcast, and I'll say it here, is what you said, is you sat me down and you said, you can do anything you want. You cannot do everything you want. We're not going to basketball games and then track meets and then Trivial Pursuit Club and then the ski club and then now you're over in the symphonic band. Now you're in the marching band. We're not doing all of that. No, Sherry, you can't be in the ski club. You don't have any skis, and we're not buying you skis. And black people shouldn't be on the snow slopes anyway. So pick a few things. And my family's very, very supportive in, okay, what is so-and-so doing? The whole family shows up for that, right? That's how we are. We can't, and that's what and it's true. Like, I know, it's my understanding, I don't know because I don't have kids, that during this kind of culture and generation that we're in, it's like let the child make the choices, right? But I am so grateful. Think about somebody like me. I would have never finished anything because once she let me make the choice, then they held me to it. Right?
And you had to follow through.
I have to follow through with it. There's boundaries there. You have to complete it. I know, she knew, you can't complete 50 things. So you're not going to do 50 things, right? When she said, no, that's enough, I felt that. Like right now when she said it, because that's true. And that's something I don't think people want to say now.
Were you disappointed?
Yeah, she was.
Oh,
but that's not changing anything. No. I said no, and I mean no.
Yeah. See, and see her tone?
Yeah.
That's something we're scared to do now, right? Like it almost feels unloving.
Yeah.
That's what right now, and that's why we can't even have a mentality that God would tell us no about something. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel that's what I say to my kids. When I say no, I mean no, but then I'm mean, and then no parent wants to be. I'm not speaking for myself when I say this, no parent wants to be mean, so I feel like they give in a little easier.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, whatever, I don't care if you think I'm mean, but
right.
Yeah, no, that's
right. That's the right attitude.
See, she supports that 100%.
I do.
See, next time they say I'm mean, I'm gonna say we're calling Miss Bev.
Yeah, put her on
Miss
speaker.
Bev will tell you.
Put her on speakerphone. She has the words to deliver. Have you done that yet? Have you threatened your kids with my mom?
I have, but we just haven't actually called her yet.
You should.
Miss Bev will tell you.
Miss Bev will tell you. All right. So we talked about gifting. I forgot about this. In this episode, we are also going to talk about how you fill your cup as a mom. And that was another question that was specifically from you.
Yeah.
Does your cup feel empty often?
I mean, I think when you're a mom, it is drained a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the terms that my kids would learn in preschool is like you're either a bucket dipper or a bucket like filler. So you're
they was teaching the preschool kids that? That's kind of deep.
Mason
for a
would be like,
4-year-old.
Reese, don't be such a bucket dipper.
The babies was talking about bucket dipper or bucket filler.
Yeah.
That is so profound to be teaching 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. Okay, so
yeah,
you're saying a lot of people are dipping out of your bucket and it's losing liquid quickly.
Yeah, so I think it just came from like, it all happens. It happens to all moms, but everyone fills their cup up differently. All right. So if maybe there's a mom out there struggling and they just don't know, well, I can resonate with that one. Maybe that mom, whatever she's doing, might help me.
Okay, fill your cup, bucket dipping, bucket draining, all of that coming up.
Snacks and good company.
Let me ask you a question, friend. Do you have a book in you? I bet you do. Like, have you ever ended the night writing in your journal and then look at what you wrote and be like, woohoo, that's a story to tell. Well, why not tell it? Seriously, why not? Redemption Press is here to help you not only find that story, but help you tell that story and give you a community of support while you're on the journey. Listen, if you ever felt like you wanted to write a book and you just didn't know where to start, Redemption Press will help you with that. They have a professional editorial staff. They're all believers. They're ministry-minded, supportive, and trustworthy. Reach out to them. Why not? Redemption Press. Find out how you can start telling your story now. Your message is their mission. I love that. Go check them out right now. redemptionpress.com.
Snacks and good company.
What are your go-to verses?
One of my biggest go-to verses with my kids, I was a single parent for several years, and God had given me a very special verse going through my really difficult times, those dark and painful times. So my children's father is Norwegian, and the verse starts, I will bring them from the north country. Even when I say it now, I can just break because God gave me that verse. He gave me that promise, and he said, and they will come with weeping, and I will lead them by rivers of water, and they will not stumble, and I will be a father to them. Whew, like it still is so intense, and I embrace that promise through every stage of their life.
Right now, this may seem strange, but this is the one I'm camped out on right now that I find myself sharing with people all the time. It's James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, should ask God, who will give liberally without finding fault to all. He'll just give you the wisdom. And I love that because it keeps me from looking backwards. It keeps me looking forwards. It keeps me from saying, if I go to God and I ask for wisdom, he's going to go, yeah, but you did that. Mm-hmm. Or you should have listened to me there. It's not what he does. He does it without finding fault. He'll give me wisdom. So I think in parenting, that's very important too. That when you show up to say, God, I feel like I really screwed up with my kids. He's like, yeah, but now you can do this. Now tell them this. Now teach them that. Now, go give them hugs, and that'll, those kind of things. So
this is a verse that has just become my parenting verse. 2 Thessalonians 3:3-5. But the Lord is faithful, and he will establish you and guard you from the evil one. And we have confidence in the Lord that you are doing and will continue to do what we command. May the Lord direct your hearts into God's love and Christ's perseverance.
And that's what you believed for your kids.
Absolutely. Yeah, God is faithful.
I love that. What's the verse again? 2
Thessalonians chapter 3:3-5.
Snacks and good company. This is Sherry Lynn with my co-host Jackie Nickel.
Hi.
How do you fill your cup? Let me tell you why I like this. Self-care, quote unquote, is something that's talked about a lot, right? And I liked your question because it's different than self-care. I think the the Bible implies, now, again, here's my email address because people are going to be like, Sherry, you don't understand. So Sherry, Sherri, at snacksandgoodcompany.com. Again, Sherry at snacksandgoodcompany.com. All right. Self-care, the Bible implies everyone takes care of themselves. So the Bible says you dress yourself, you bathe yourself, you take care of you. We think it's when it says, to love people, it's like, well, I have to love myself first. Yeah. The Bible says you already love you. Mm-hmm. There's nothing in the Bible that says you hate you. Mm-hmm. And because pride is the original sin, you really do love you a lot, right? Yeah. So self-care is a kind of a weird space, I think, biblically. Sherry at snacksandgoodcompany.com, because I hear people saying, no, because fill your cup made more sense to me, because it's like I'm always pouring out. Right. How do I maintain this level of spiritual liquid, so to speak, or how do I maintain so that I always have something to pour out? Right. That made more sense to me. That's why I like that question. Oh, well, thanks. How do you fill your cup?
I have a sister who's just a little bit crazy, and we used to do what we called Mom's Days Out. Okay. And you know how you drive down the street and sometimes you think, I wonder what that store is like or that place is like? Mm-hmm. Our husbands, my brother-in-law and my husband, insisted that we would take one Saturday. It probably wasn't. It seemed like it was a lot. It's probably just twice a year, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And we would just go for a day, only for a day, because we didn't have a lot of money or anything. Mm-hmm. But we would save up and we would go for that day. And on a daily basis, it was just my friendships with other Christian mothers. One of my best friends she had been raised Mennonite, and she had gotten out of the Mennonite faith. And we met at church, and she just had a lot of wisdom for being a mother. She taught me how to can food, and she taught me things about, and just spending that time with them. And a lot of times the kids were around. It wasn't that. I don't think you necessarily have to leave your kids and run off to fill your cup. Sometimes I think it's just intentional friendships with people who make you feel better about yourself, or who make you feel better. Having been with them, spent some time with them, you feel better.
I think that is such great wisdom, intentional friendship, because when I've talked to moms, that seems to be the thing that suffers. Because it's so much going on. You got to do this here, you got to do that, you got to do that. Oh, I was going to try to get together with her. It's not going to work. But the intentional friendships, and that the kids don't have to go away. We'll just all have our kids together here.
Yes. Yeah. There was about 3 other couples, and we've got videos, and now the memories are so special. There's always noise in the background. Somebody's fighting over a game. Adults. Fighting over the game. But, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, even better.
Did life together. Yeah. And it was very, very intentional. We would say, okay, on Sunday after church, we're going to do this, or Saturday afternoon, we're going to do this. At the time, I didn't realize how important it was, but now I know how important it was.
What did you do to fill your own cup?
Honestly, not a whole lot. I didn't have a lot of time. I have a big family, but I never felt like it was their responsibility to take care of my kids. Mm-hmm. I did the occasional, I'm going to TJ Maxx by myself, but not really a whole lot.
Music for me is huge. I would say, it's important for me. I'm more of an extrovert, and people do fill me up. Mm-hmm. So anytime we could get away and have a date night with other couples or things like that was amazing for me. But I do also know that, on the daily, that wasn't possible. Yeah. And so how do I get through those days and not hurt my children? That's just real.
Right. No, I get real, it. I'm sure moms listening will totally understand.
Like, when I say that, in all shapes and forms, all of my children know, we probably hurt our eardrums, but we cranked the music, we listened to all kinds, and then I had my own time. It was a way, honestly, to not talk to each other for a while. because you get really tired of the questions and just everybody just needs a little break. And music was a really good way to do that.
When you were in the thick of everything, what did you do for yourself to fill your cup?
Not much. You know, the whole self-care thing is a relatively new concept. We didn't really have that. But we did, sometimes people would call it me time. What do you do for me time? I'm like, me time? What is that? I have all these children.
All these kids.
I was pregnant or nursing for a total of, I figured it up one time, 14 years of my life. I was pregnant or nursing. So I like the way you said it, fill your cup, because when I think of that, I go to a biblical concept of having our cups filled. And there were times there when I would feel like I didn't even really have the time to seek God like I wanted to, or spend time with Him. And one day I had been up all night with a sick child, and then the baby had woken up early to nurse, and I had not had any time with the Lord. And I was standing at the sink washing dishes. I remember it so clearly. And I was lamenting. I was just like, Lord, I just don't have any time to just be with you. And I really long for that. And I felt the Lord say to me so clearly, he called me darling. I think it's the only time he called me darling. He said, I heard it so clearly, darling, I'm with you now. And I just stopped washing the dishes for a second. I had this thing in my mind of what it was going to look like to be able to fill my cup, to be able to be with Him. And that did not fit in my life at that time. And so He was letting me know, and it just really comforted me. And it started a lifestyle of praying whenever I was doing other things. I would, instead of doing something else or thinking about what I had to do or other things, I would try to make my mind focus on, okay, this is going to be a time when I can talk to the Lord. And if I could get to the Word, like I would nurse the baby and read the Bible. Now I listen to the Word on, Audible all the time when I'm doing other things, to make sure that I'm finding that time. Because I think a lot of times when we say we don't have the time, we're filling our time with other things. But I just would say to the young mothers that He's with you in everything you're doing, and you are blessing Him by mothering your children. You are in the center of His will, and He could not be more pleased with you.
All of our moms talking about how they fill their cup, which is just such a great question about staying filled up so that you can give to others. So I'm hoping, again, that moms will hear that and find one or two of those, whether it's the date night or the shopping or whatever it is, find one or two of those that help you. And maybe they change in different seasons, right?
I was just going to say that. I think it changes with each season, and maybe they can just save that for another time, but I just hope they find it encouraging.
Yeah, if you have something, here's how I fill my cup as a mom, or keep my cup filled up. You can certainly email me at Sherry, Sherri, at snacksandgoodcompany.com. I want to say thank you so much to everyone who gave us their time. Time is a resource you cannot get back. So when someone spends their time on you, that is more than money, because money you can get back, but time you cannot. And thank you, Jackie.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
This is, I mean, these questions, whether it's what is your go-to parenting verse or fill your cup or whatever it is, these questions are so rich. And I realized as I did more interviewing that so many moms struggle with this or have these kinds of questions. So thank you for being so open and so vulnerable with what you're feeling, what you're thinking about, what you're questioning, being okay, being vulnerable with that, knowing that other moms are probably feeling it too.
Well, thank you for pulling this all together and making me do it.
Yeah. Thank you, Sherry, for the gun that you placed at my temple and made me actually do this. So, and thank you all who gave us your time and, hung out with us with your snacks. We really, really appreciate that. Last question, or last little thought here that you had for Tammy. I'm just going to throw it directly there.
At what age do you think you can be friends with your kids?
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Oh, you have such insightful thoughts. I don't think as long as we're parenting, we're friends. And I think it's very important to communicate love to our kids, but they need to understand that we have parental love for them, and that we are responsible for them, and that it's our job to be their parent, not to be their friend. When they're adults, I think I'm friends with all of my adult children. So I would think after they're after they're adults. I think I'm starting to go into the friend zone with Anna, but I'm still her parent because I'm still responsible for her. I still pay her bills. As long as you pay their bills, you're the parent, by the way. And they're not adults until they're paying their own bills.
I remember that first time I got that electric bill.
Yeah.
Like for me.
Right.
And my
all of a
name
sudden,
was on it.
Adulthood.
Yeah, you're like,
was there.
Why did I ever wish to be an adult?
Wait a minute. Why is it this much?
Right. Because we talk to parents who they pay the car payment. They bought them a car. They pay the car payment. They pay the phone bill. They pay all the household bills. But they say, well, they're 18. They're an adult. Like, no, they're not an adult. They're 18. Who decided 18? They're legally an adult. They can make their own legal decisions. But as far as responsibility, they don't, as long as they're not paying their own bills, they don't have the opportunity to make their own decisions.
What a good point.
Very good point. And at what age do you think parenting gets easier?
The kids' age.
Oh. Well, I loved the teenage year. I loved every stage, actually. But I loved the teenage years because then they were really able to grasp more complicated concepts and they really were becoming who they are, you know. And so some people are terrified of the teen years. And there were challenges. I won't say they weren't challenging. 14, 15 years old is, I would like to check out for a few years, come back later. But then those older teen years, like now with, Anna said to us on the phone the other day from college, she had been to one women's studies class and she had heard some of the stories of the other women in the class. And she came home to call us and she said, I just want to thank you guys for being such amazing parents.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, okay, I love this age right here. I love this age. I love watching them be parents. I said that before. Watching them raise their own kids, watching them find their way in the world, watching them, watching how God blesses them and uses them. Oh, you have that to look forward to. It's just amazing.
You must be one proud mama.
I am. Well, I'm just so grateful. Yeah. Grateful is a better word than proud because I know the mistakes I made. I know the things that God had to make up for. But I'm incredibly grateful to God for all he's done.
That is such a good place to end it, on gratitude. I think I know. Now this I know. I don't know a lot of stuff that I was talking about on this podcast series because I don't have any kids. But this I do know, that gratitude is the key to contentment.
Yeah. I agree with that.
If you want to be content, be grateful, to be able to look back and say, you know what? I had some ups, I had some downs, I made some really stupid mistakes. This is just in life, not just motherhood, but to be grateful for God's faithfulness, because that's the one thing that doesn't change.
Yeah.
I can be grateful for that all the time. I can mention that all the time. I can say all the different ways he's been faithful all the time. And that gratitude really establishes contentment in my life. And a content life is a good life. All right. Well, that's that. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. This was Snacks and Good Company. The next series, we will tackle single to single, talking to single people and how they navigate through the church and its view of singlehood, talking to older single people and how they have lived their lives, and talking to younger single people with their struggles. I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting.
Going to be exciting. But until then, thank you guys.
Thanks, friends.
If you love this podcast, make sure you subscribe. Even though this was the last episode of this series, we are coming back, as I said, with another series. So you want to subscribe so when the first episode of the next series drops, it'll download directly to your device. So make sure you do that. Also, share this series, please. I hope it was a blessing to you. Please share it with other moms, and at least they know they're not alone. That's why I did this. So please do that. Rate us and give us comments. That's all great. If you want to email me, you can do that. Sherry at snacksandgoodcompany.com. That's SHERRI at snacksandgoodcompany.com. This is presented by Purposely, produced by yours truly. Sound design by Lauren Tone Kirkland. Music by Matt Mason of Mason Haven Music. Art design is by Notoria Marketing. Social media by Chinessa Schuler Multimedia. Photography, James Brunson. And we recorded the majority of this podcast in the Christian FM studios in Vero Beach, Florida. Thank you so much, friends. So glad that you joined us for this series, and we'll see you next time.
Snacks and Good Company.